We're live on DSTV, Channel 421, GoTV 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni. Coming up, when 3 square meals a day, or even 2, becomes a luxury, what can 19 cities and 97 pesos do?
Every day I eat 40 cedi, 50 cedi. That money there can't help me at all because it's small.
90 cedi, 90 pesos a day. What are we slaves? Are we still slaves?
At least it will take part of my course I'll be making for the month, which is enough for me. It has taken part of my burdens off.
Tonight, does the minimum wage increase mean anything at all? And how much does the average Ghanaian spend a day?
Even not say audit, I would have appointed a forensic auditor for the 11 fintech to audit their books and see how much they have benefited and how much they have actually sent to the given to the various banks or the authorized.
Now, Bank of Ghana under pressure to launch full-scale forensic audit into the operations of 11 fintech companies handling remittances, as checks reveal over $10 billion in unaccounted inward transfer between 2019 and 2023. Now we have details as the Apex Bank initiate audit of remittances transactions covering the last quarter of 2024. Also, Finance Minister reveals to President Mahama's cabinet the economy is in a much worse condition than previously known before the elections, just hours after the president told organized labor that his discoveries suggest a criminal handling of the economy.
I knew the economy was in crisis. But some of the things I'm discovering myself, it's been a criminal handling of our economy.
Now, the government has announced a 10% increase in the minimum wage, raising it from 18.15 cedis to 19.97 cedis. But in a time of rising costs, is this enough to make a real difference in the lives of workers? For many Ghanaians earning minimum wage, every cedi counts. Yet basic necessities like food and transport continue to eat away at the earnings. So what does this increase truly mean for the average worker? My colleague Emmanuel Givano hit the street to find out.
Joseph Ajay is a factory worker. Every day, he puts hours of hard work, but his salary barely covers his survival. 3 meals a day? That's a luxury he can't afford. For Joseph, lunch is the only proper meal he gets. His go-to choice? Beans and gari. It's cheap, filling, and keeps him going.
Thank you.
He comes to this popular joint in Kokomemle every afternoon, but even that is becoming too expensive.
Money, it can't help me. Because every day I eat 40 cedi, 50 cedi. That money there can't help me at all because it's small. It's small, yeah. A day is 30 cedi, 40 cedi price, okay for everybody. Yeah. Because the 19 points, it's not good though. I can't do anything for me at all because I think 30 cedi or 40 cedi is okay for everybody.
A 10% wage increase was supposed to bring relief, but for Joseph, it barely covers the cost of one meal, let alone his transport, rent, or any other daily expenses. Across town, at another food joint, Benjamin Naughty shares his frustration.
I don't think 19 or 20 cedis would do something. Even what I eat in the afternoon will cost me, let me see, about 50 cedis. So giving me 19 cedis for a day, just look at it. Even giving your child, maybe, let me see, 10 cedis, what can he buy with that 20 cedis or 10 cedis? So 19 cedis, I don't think is good.
Benjamin's frustration is shared by many workers who feel the wage increase is out of touch with the reality of rising prices. Richard Adegu, another worker, spends 3 times the minimum wage daily, and he's not happy about it.
As a worker, to work and then be paying 90 cedi, 90 pesos a day. What are we slaves? Are we still slaves or what? How can you cater for yourself and then your family? You can't do anything. You can't move forward.
For Richard, the financial squeeze is real. The numbers simply don't add up. But not everyone is dissatisfied. Richard Kasim, for one, believes the government is making an effort.
Last year, the previous government increased it by 23%, right? So if less than 2 months, this government is able to increase by 10%, at least it will take part of my course I'll be making for the month, which is enough for me. It has taken part of my burdens off. It's going to take off e-levy. It's going to take off betting tax. Where is he going to get the money to be able to increase above the 10%? You have to know that he's squeezing from one end to another to make sure he will cushion us for us to feel okay in this country.
A 10% increase, some call it a step in the right direction. Others say it's nowhere near enough. But what do you think? Does 19 cities, 97 pesos a day make life better? Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Accra.
Well, our research team here at Joy News has been looking at the minimum wage trend from 2012. And lead data and research analyst Isaac Kofi J joins me in studio. Kofi, tell us more. What is the trend like from 20?
Well, Carlos, before we even go to the trend, now we should know, employers should know that it is illegal to employ anybody and at the end of the month pay that person below the figure you see on the smart wall, 598 cedis, 95 pesos. This should be the lowest pay anybody should get by the end of the month.
For me.
So let's say roughly, maybe 600 cedis a month should be the minimum salary any Ghanaian should get after doing some work for a month, right? Now, unfortunately for us, our minimum wage is not one that is calculated per hour, right? It's per day. Now, if you see the current increment that we are talking about, you compare the minimum salary of 2025 to what it used to be, 544 cedis, 50 pesos. Now we are talking about, slightly maybe close to 600 cedis. Yeah. Some say it's good, some say, are we still slave? Okay. Now, we've been looking at the trend so far from 2012 to 2025, and you can see the stepwise movement in terms of the minimum wage. Now we are talking about 19 cedis, 97 pesos. Yeah. And in fact, if you do the math, what you will see is that this current minimum wage only went up by just, let's say, roughly 1 cedi or so. The average is that it usually goes up by 1 cedi, except in 2024, where we had the economic crisis and government decided to look at the minimum wage and increase it by that figure you see on the smart wall, 22%. Right. Now we are saying 10%. Over the years, this has been the trajectory, and you can see that between 2016 and 2023, the average has been around 10%. Yeah. And so this is not a strange figure. Neither is it an outlier. The only outlier I can point out possibly is what happened in 2024. And, Labour, they were really happy because, they got 2022, but they actually went to the negotiation table with a demand of 60%. They got 22%. This year, we are not seeing so much, noise around the 10%. Possibly means that Labour was able to bargain for what they wanted. But for government, the big hurdle is that this year, they have to find some 73 billion Ghana cedis extra to pay for compensation of employees, which includes wages, salaries, and SNIT contributions. Usually, when minimum wage goes up, it's not just a salary. Employers are really concerned about SNIT contributions, Carlos.
Right, so I'm interested in the 19.97 cedis. Ghana, we don't calculate it per hour. Yeah. So if you break that down to, say, 8-hour work, it means an hour, the worker is getting about...
I don't think you want us to do this. There are 24 hours in a day. So if it's 24 hours and the whole day you work and you're still not getting 24 cedis, right. I think that those at home will do the math and you know that this is really, really small. Yeah. Elsewhere... in the US, if you work for an hour, you can earn somewhere $20 per hour. Right. Now, we are talking about, a little above $1 for the whole day. That's another question that we need to ask.
Right. Thank you so much, Kofi. Now, away from that, or related to that, the Bank of Ghana is facing mounting pressure to conduct a full-scale forensic audit into the operations of 11 financial technology firms handling remittances following revelations that over $10 billion in inward transfer between 2019 and 2023 went unaccounted. Now, concerns have been raised over potential regulatory lapses, illicit financial flows, and systemic weaknesses that may have resulted in the huge gap between figures being reported by the Auditor General and the World Bank. Now, Dr. Richmond Echiahine is a banking consultant and has been speaking to my colleague Isaac Kofiachi on a yet-to-be-aired podcast. Take a listen.
I would even not say audit. I would have appointed a forensic auditor for the 11 fintech to audit their books and see how much they have benefited and how much they have actually sent to the given to the various banks or the authorized dealer bank. Get forensic auditors to audit all the fintechs, all the MTOs, the money transfer organizations that has been licensed, operators that has been licensed, so that we can see what went wrong and be able to put gaps, stop the gaps, put strategic measures to address these issues. Otherwise, we'll be going round it. We'll be going round it, because to just go and audit 3 months, what does it tell? It doesn't tell anything. We are talking about 2019, and I've quoted $10.6 billion US. It's a huge, it's 3 times bigger than the IMF loan. So I think that the governor and his team should sit up and begin to revisit it. We may not punish people, but we put brakes to what they do.
Now, Joy News is learning that the Bank of Ghana has already begun an audit focusing on remittance transactions from the last quarter of 2024 in an effort to assess the remittance process and to provide recommendations to strengthen the existing regulatory framework. And let's take a look at that which they've been doing. And they started from 1st of October 2024 to 1st of December 2024. Now, the audit of the remittance activities objective of the audit, 1 is to assess the remittance process and provide recommendations to strengthen the existing regulatory framework. 2, to evaluate compliance with all applicable regulations, including Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, updated guidelines for remittances, Payment Services Act 2019, Act 987, Anti-Money Laundering, Combating the Financing of Terrorism Guidelines, and the audit of, the goal goes on to say, enhance the remittance ecosystem, promote transparency, mitigate AML-CFT risk, contribute to overall foreign exchange market deepening. So that's what the objectives of that audit actually has been. But is in the last quarter of 2024 sufficient enough to size the magnitude of the problem? Thankfully, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahine has joined us via Zoom for more on this. Doc, grateful for your time here. First, how did you arrive at the over $10 billion unaccounted for remittances? Kindly unmute so we can hear you, Doc. So we're trying to get Doc to speak to us. He's a banking consultant and he's been telling us some $10 billion through his own research is unaccounted for, which is actually affecting the economy and the finances of the country. But we are trying to re-establish connection with him to see if we can get details of that particular audit that he himself has been carrying out, where he identified actually $10 billion, which is actually more than the $3 billion that the country is actually looking for from the IMF. So, Doc, if you can hear me, I'm asking, how did you arrive at the over $10 billion unaccounted for remittances?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished viewers. I mean, it's a data pick from the World Bank. You know, the World Bank provides data for the whole world countries, and this data is open to everybody. And if you also want to do it, you have to validate from them in their various offices. And seriously, that is what I did. And from the Bank of Ghana data, if you go to the audited statement of the Bank of Ghana, all remittances are classified and grouped by the 23 authorized dealer banks. So that is where I got my data from. That is where I collated the data and did a sampling analysis and the various diagrams. So that is how I got my data.
And you got as much as $10 billion.
Yes. You know, since the inception of the passage of the Payment Systems and Service Act 987 in 2019, we, as a country, we license fintech companies, blockchains, and what have you into the fintechs, into the remittances space.
Right.
However, the existing law, which is the Foreign Exchange Act 723, Act 2006, says specifically, and I think section 15 says that only Bank of Ghana and the 23 authorized dealer banks are allowed to hold foreign exchange, whether it's from a visible trade or invisible trade. Fortunately, the remittances are the invisible trade. However, after passage of those things, the Payment and Service Act, these players came in, and that is where the problem started. Since then, collation of the data or the currency being transferred to the central bank or the authorized bank has not been very, very effective.
Right.
And that is where the problem. And when you calculate it with the data, as you've displayed, it clearly gives you the difference of 10.6 billion over the last 5 years.
Right. So is the new directive from the central bank sufficient enough to address the discrepancies we are seeing?
Carlos, I think this is just on the tip of an iceberg. Today, I have received no more than 20 calls, some from the international agencies telling me that we congratulate you, but you haven't finished your job. Meaning that what Bank of Ghana is trying to do, I don't know why they choose only the 3 months. If you want to do it, we're not trying to bring corporates. What we are trying to do is to design a strategy so that in future, it will be the benefit for the country in terms of the currency depreciation and also the current account balance deficit, the BOP, and again, to strengthen the currency reserves of the country. But if you choose to do only 3 months, as they have done, I don't know what they want to achieve. But from reliable sources, from very reliable source, I am told that in October this year, they managed to get those companies that were playing the game outside the rules to come into it. So yes, today, if you saw the data produced by Kofi in the, I think the afternoon news, the 1 o'clock joint business news, remittances for that quarter was 1.7 billion for 1 quarter. And if the country has done what I told them from the beginning of the year, if you multiply 1.7 by 4, at least you'll be coming closer to the figure for which the governor himself has said in his economic and financial data. He said in 2023, we ought to have received 5.2 billion. In 2024, the governor said that we were expected to receive 6.5. But this discrepancy is so huge that I would urge whoever is the governor or the Minister of Finance to appoint independent forensic auditors to do extensive work over the last 5 years or 6 years so that we can design strategy where we behave like the Bangladeshi. If you go to Bangladesh, the banking sector handles 95% of all remittances, and their remittances are huge. Last year, they clocked about 23 billion, and ours is just about 5 billion, and we are not able to capture. So what I have seen today, for me, it doesn't satisfy, it doesn't give me the answers that I was looking for.
All right.
And I believe whoever did this must be able to extend it backwards to 2020, 2019, so that as a country, we can all come together. Because Carlos, let me make this statement. There is no cocoa at the moment. If I say there's no cocoa, cocoa cannot even give us possibly $1 billion. And gold, as you know, Bank of Ghana said the total export of gold was 11 billion. Carlos, you have a shock of your life that about only 1.15% comes into the balance sheet of Bank of Ghana. But for remittances, even the current status, without even going further, remittances add the gold and cocoa. Remittances are ahead of them. So I believe this government and the Minister of Finance, especially the Minister of Finance and the Bank of Ghana, should sit up so that we can capture all in remittances, because this is the only way we can even service some of our debt.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Richmond Ichia. He is a banking consultant. Still on the economy, Finance Minister Cassiel Ato-Forson has revealed to John Mahama, the president of the country cabinet, that the economy is in a far worse state than previously known before the elections. This was disclosed by presidential spokesperson Felix Kwakye Ofosu during a press briefing after President Mahama's first cabinet meeting today. More on that in a moment, but this revelation comes on the same day the president, during negotiations with base pay with organized labor, stated that while it was known the economy was in crisis, some of its recent discoveries suggested a reckless and possibly criminal mismanagement of the economy by the Akufo-Addo-led administration. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba has more in the following report.
Base pay negotiations with organized labor, the president noted that while the economic crisis before the elections was well known, his recent findings pointed to reckless and potentially criminal mismanagement by the Akufo-Addo-led government.
We all knew the economy was in crisis, but some of the things I'm discovering myself, I mean, it's been a criminal handling of our economy. And Ghana is a crime scene, actually, because how a government can have been so reckless, I cannot understand. But we're faced with a reality, and our options are very few. We can behave like the ostrich and hide our heads in the sand and let the economy crash. But then what effect would it have on Ghanaian households and everybody? And so I've told him, I said, cut expenditure as much as you like. Even we ourselves in Office of Government Machinery cut as much of our budget as you like.
Addressing the media after President Mahama's first cabinet meeting, presidential spokesperson Felix Kwakye Ofosu stated the finance minister Cassiel Ato-Forson revealed the economy is in an even worse state than previously known before the elections.
We campaigned strongly on Ghana's failing economy, and indeed our fears were borne out when the finance minister made his briefing. The situation is dire. The numbers are even worse than we had known in the period of the elections. But the minister, the president, and others involved in the management of the economy were confident that the proposals, the policy propositions, and the program that President Mahama has put on the table were sufficient to turn around the situation.
He also announced that the Minister for Energy and Green Transition will in the coming days address Ghanaians on concerns about intermittent power supply.
What I can say is that the Energy Minister is aware of the situation, and in the coming days he will be engaging the public.
Felix Kwakye Ofosu also announced the full list of cabinet members.
First on the list is the Minister for Finance, the Minister for the Interior, Minister for Health, Minister for Defense, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice.
He assured Ghanaians that the government remains on course to implement the 24-hour economy policy as promised by President Mahama.
The briefing from Mr. Tano and his team shows, I beg your pardon, that we are on course to ensuring a smooth takeoff. And in due course, the 24-hour secretariat would be engaging the Ghanaian media.
Now, MP4 Wale Dr. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama has accused the Ghana Armed Forces of going on an unprofessional and careless rampage in his constituency and brutalizing his constituents in the process. The MP has also been pushing to have the recent curfew imposed on the area lifted. Listen to the MP make a statement on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, these recent reprisal attacks have caused the Minister of Interior to impose a curfew on Wale Wale and its environs. This decision is heavy-handed and the first of its kind to be imposed on a community that is relatively peaceful without prejudice to the activities of the bandits in the area, within the area. It does not make sense to punish residents in those communities because most of them are just victims. What is even surprising, Mr. Speaker, is that all the attacks occur on the Wale Wale Road during the daytime, outside the curfew hours. I appeal that government lifts the curfew to bring life to normalcy in Wale Wale.
Now, MP for Wa West, Peter Lanchene Tobo, called for both the Interior and Defense Ministers to brief Parliament, given the devastating conflict in the Bawku enclave, which continues to spread.
Allow the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, in a closed sitting, for them to give us update as what is happening in northern Ghana, particularly in relation to the Bawku area. That is now gradually becoming a Bawku area, including the Wale Wale area. I think it's a matter of worry to all of us. But I also want to recommend that apart from the Defense Minister and the Interior Minister, we should get the two chairmen of the two regional security councils involved. The chairman of the Upper East Regional Security Council and the chairman of the Northeast Regional Security Council, for them to come and brief this House. What is actually going on? How can we come together as a nation to ensure that this matter is nipped in the bud? Pretended justice is the greatest form of injustice.
Now, the concerned youth of Kusog, a group based in Bawku in the Upper East region, has raised concerns over the killings in Bawku and called on the government to act decisively in dealing with the violence being perpetrated against their people. They expressed their concerns at a press conference in Bawku. Correspondent Albert Sori reports.
The Bawku-based youth group, the Concerned Youth of Kusag, is unhappy about how the military carries out certain operations in the volatile town. Speaking at a press conference, they condemned recent killings, including the brutal murder of a mother and her two daughters, allegedly by individuals in military uniform. The group claims these attacks were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of targeted violence. Haruna Abdul Rahim addressed the press conference.
Eyewitness report indicates that the murderer was in a military uniform. A stark reminder of the crimes being committed against the Kusasi people, assisted by the Ghana Armed Forces stationed in Bawku to maintain peace.
According to the Concerned Youth of Kusag, military personnel deployed to Bawku have failed in their peacekeeping duties and instead are engaging in the harassment and brutalization of innocent civilians.
The communities listed below have been subjected to unimaginable hardship and suffering, with numerous lives lost due to the brutal treatment they received.
Some of the youth who attended the press conference also shared their frustrations.
We are in Bawku here to protect life and properties. The people are using their uniforms to create atrocities in Bawku.
The questions we ask is that, was it the military that went and did that act, or there were civilians? If there were civilians, what is the purpose of the curfew imposed in Bawku, where people are asleep and others are going around to perpetrate crime?
You're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a short break. We have more after this break. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, some members of Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana in the Greater Accra region have defied a directive to protest the appointment of the new birth and death register. Joy News checks in some of the ministries indicate that only national service personnel and workers who work directly with ministers were at post at the time of our visit. My colleague Stephen Mensah visited some of these centers and filed the following report.
Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana announced last week of its intended strike action in protest of the appointment of a new birth and death registrar. They argued that Mr. Samuel Aduboche is a politically exposed individual. Joint News checks in some of the ministries indicate that work has been left in the hands of the national service personnel and workers who work directly with ministers. Some of the workers we spoke to at the various ministries indicate that they want their leadership to focus on addressing their tier 3 payment and payment structure allowances.
Appointments of an individual who does not really have any direct impact or effect on their condition of service is irrelevant to them. And then secondly, their main agitating to this is the fact that they have pending issues before leadership, like their new salary structure, which leadership is not channeling its energy towards that.
It's an appointment, and though it will go a long way to help us, okay, but right now as we are talking, these things wouldn't affect us anyway, but it has to start from somewhere. So we are thinking about the new salary structure and our condition of service, and secondly, the tier 3 that they are deducting. It should be an optional thing. If you feel like going into it, you can go and register so that they start deducting from source.
Our visit to the birth and death registry indicates that several clients have been left stranded. We spoke to some of them.
We don't know anything about that. They didn't tell us anything. When they call the number 2, they say switch off.
I'm going to use to create a Ghana card for something, but I waited for a while, almost 3 months days, but still always when I come, toss.
I really need the thing. I really need the birth set, and if they don't resume anytime soon, it will really affect me. Politically exposed people tend to employ their chronics and their other people. It's only proper for them to appoint somebody who is neutral.
Government spokesperson in a press briefing yesterday at the presidency insists that the appointment followed due legal process. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Stephen Mensah.
Let's take you to the Ashanti region because applicants seeking services from the birth and death registry in the region were turned away as workers joined a nationwide industrial action by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOSAG, protesting the appointment of Samuel Aduboche as Registrar of Birth and Death. Now, Emmanuel Bright-Kweko reports offices of members of the association in the regional capital, Kumasi, remained closed as many clients were left stranded at the entrance of these offices.
A client desperately knocking at the door into the reception of the Birth and Death Registry in Kumasi. After several attempts, workers at the office only returned to inform him about the ongoing strike.
Well, actually, this is my first time of coming to the Birth and Death Registry. And I came here actually to do my birth certificate. Yeah, so, and quite unfortunate, I didn't meet up with anyone here. So I decided going back home.
He's not alone. Many clients who trooped to the office to seek various services were turned away.
This woman just came here to seek services from the Birth and Death Registry here in the Ashanti region. And as you can see here, she's trying to go back from wherever she came from because she was unable, she was unsuccessful to access services from this particular registry. And a lot more of these clients have been stranded for the entire day. Some need these certificates for their personal use.
Well, I really need it within this week or ending of this month.
Why?
Because I want to do my traveling process. It will really affect me badly.
Explain to me.
Okay, because I'm going there I have so many things to do, both working and studying.
Offices are the local ministries' enclave in the region, including the Controller and Accountant General's Department, although opened, refuse to serve clients. Members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana, CLOCSAG, are protesting the appointment of Samuel Adom Bochwe as Registrar of the Birth and Death Registry. Although the government has justified the appointment of Mr. Bochwe, the association argues he is a politically exposed person to occupy the position.
From here in the Ashanti region for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bransquick.
Let me now take you to the western region because the Takoradi Air Force Base, a strategic military installation in that region, is facing a growing challenge with land encroachment. Out of over 600 acres allocated by the central government, approximately 88 acres have been taken over by unauthorized settlers, raising concerns about the base's operational effectiveness and security. Air Commodore Kobina Kisiedu Manokre Itiamo, commander of the Takoradi Air Force Base, has expressed alarm over the steady loss of land to private developers and squatters. There's more in the following report.
The commander of the Air Force Base Takoradi, Air Commodore Kobina Kisiedu Manokre Itiamo, briefed Western Regional Minister Joseph Nelson, who also chairs the Regional Security Council, on the base operations, core mandates and challenges. The major concern raised by Air Commodore Atiemu is the silent approach of land encroachments on military territory, which poses a significant challenge. He emphasized the need for urgent attention to address this issue and appealed to Joseph Nelson to collaborate with stakeholders to put an end to land grappling within the military enclave.
Encroachment is one of our big problems, and it is basically down to land administration issues and our failure over the years to secure cadastral for the entire space. I am currently pushing very hard, continuing the efforts of the previous base commander to do that for this section, which represents about 88 acres of 618 acres that we should be able to control.
In response, the Western Regional Minister Joseph Nelson assured the command of his support in vigorously protecting the lands, particularly those within primary operation enclaves.
Me as Regional Minister and the RCC, there's something we can do. I believe there's something we can do. I think that largely your parent ministry, the Ministry of Defense, has a huge responsibility in that regard. We will play the complementary role of helping you resolve some of these challenges.
The Minister Joseph Nelson engaged with commanders, staff and key stakeholders of the Air Force Base, fostering collaboration and understanding. He toured the facility, gaining insight into the base operation and infrastructure. Additionally, he inspected ongoing projects, demonstrating his interest in the command's development and progress. For Joy News, Inasalia Kwanza, Western Region.
And here in Accra, Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Justice Bawole, is calling for an independent monitoring framework to track the implementation of government youth-focused policies. This call comes in response to a recent survey raising doubt about the Mahama-led administration's ability to effectively implement job creation initiatives for the youth. Now, speaking at a youth empowerment policy briefing organized by the Youth Bridge Foundation, he stressed that such a framework is essential to ensuring effective execution, marking a shift from past shortcomings.
Professor Bawle's call comes as the Youth Bridge Foundation pushes for the government to move beyond promises and present concrete, measurable plans for young people in the 2025 budget. A recent youth sensitivity analysis of selected political party manifestos by the foundation exposed significant gaps in youth-focused initiatives, raising concerns about the government's ability to translate commitments into action. That's why the foundation and its partners are demanding greater transparency and accountability to ensure youth policies are not just political rhetoric but integral to national development.
It is not enough for the political parties to say we will do A, we will do B, we will do C. It is important to identify why we are here in the first place. What were some of the initiatives that were embarked on in the past? What were the achievements made? What were the barriers that led us not being able to accomplish them? And how do we intend to overcome them now? And we think that that is extremely important, because if we do not do that, we will get back into the same quagmire of we plan, we say we will do X, we will go and spend the money, and in the end, nothing gets realized.
Professor Bawku also insists that youth policies should be embedded within established state institutions rather than being handled by politically structured agencies.
We have state agencies that are mandated based on our governance architecture. And these agencies have mandates. And if you want anything about life, you would find that mandate sitting with one agency. So our expectation was that a lot of the promises that were given would be directed towards particular state agencies that will hold those as mandates and to deliver that. We didn't see that a lot happening. We hope that once government has come to power, the many youth promises that were made would find homes in regular state agencies and not party structures handling state activities.
With Ghana's youth increasingly vocal about the expectations, the upcoming national budget will be a key test of the government's commitment to meaningful youth-centered policies.
We'll take a short break. We'll return with Showbiz. Please stay. Welcome back, and it's the African print edition of the Showbiz here on Join Us Prime.
Thanks to Udine for the African print edition. We're so grateful to Udine. We're hoping that next month, which is the Ghana month, we'll have more of the African fabrics or African print fabrics to showcase to Ghanaians about the Ghanaianness of Joy News and Joy Prime. But let's bring you all the stories that you need to hear in the world of entertainment. Legendary High Life musician Ejako Nimo has offered some nuggets of wisdom to High Life crooner Kwabena on how to observe good health practices. When Kwabena and his team paid a courtesy call on Ejako Nimo at his residence in Kumasi over the weekend, the leading light of palm wine music advised Kwabena not to take hard liquor.
In fact, everybody never say, never do that was here, something. This is my baby, and by the name of Power Sankonia, and I'm saying, Father, my child. Yeah, nah. I said, no, maybe 94. 6. Now you did centenary. You really super. I know. Now you make a joke. Who make my idea? Nah. Last, you didn't go. Who you course? Course you. When you are going to graduate next year. Course you. No.
Any papa man no worry no. Can you new friend of town? You don't know. No. Kwabena no. You krum. Esi odi ebe no. Fam kumai. Fam kumai. Odi kwabena. No yesu bosom. Ite for ko sa. Ne mano. Kwaso ne zwa. Odi chon. Akura wo ele bo. Agora. Seriously.
Kwabena, he held his Love Night concert at the weekend on Valentine's Day, and we didn't get to bring you that. So it's Throwback Thursday today. We'll bring you all the highlights from Love Night with Kwabena.
Are you having fun? Are you having a good time? Do you feel the love in the house? Oh, I understand that in the back there, like 2 people are falling in love already.
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Hello. Please put your hands together, make welcome Aku V.
Welcome on stage. Episode.
The one and only Brian.
Tell me what happened. Brian, yeah, baby.
The energetic Ara, the church.
Hands together for Ara the J people. I see this man as the next big thing to happen to High Life Music. I want to dedicate the next song to a special person to me right here. Mampohima is in the house. Put your hands together. I know she loves this. This is for you, Nanahima. Nanahima. That's so bad. Wadarima. Okwasi. It's me to us. KKD in the house. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Ah. Whoa. Meba unchenyu muri. Menu bepantoma. Nkomadena menu baby. What? Are you ready for Kida?
Girls wanna have fun. Put her ass back, machine gun. Oh, she's in action.
When it comes to this song and its hit, I want to invite on stage my big brother, Quick KKD, right now. You bang me all day, and then you make me move it, from it to it. Never want to cranumas. Me condo persons in even. Papa penny bay. Need you away, Beniba. Listen, can you be a fair friend? I'm gonna see you in 2026.
We're also taking a bow here. Congratulations to you, Kwabena. But before we go, Ghanaian musician Article 1 has expressed his frustration with the music industry, citing a lack of support, sabotage, and the existence of gatekeepers who manipulate the system. Article 1 revealed in a conversation with DJ Slim on Daybreak Hits that Ghana is sitting on him.
Yeah, because I don't think you put Article 1 on any stage and then I will not speak for myself, I will not blow my horns, but just go and do your own research. Yeah, G microphone a different vibration. Me say you go put me for any stage in this world. Forget about they knowing my song or not. Ghana will wave. Bad man. Magic no oh.
Oh, okay.
Ghana pa omunya agenda na omu push out to go on. Me plan this Ghana pa omunya agenda. Na omu push out to go on. You know, Ghana is sitting on to go on and it's so bad. It's so terrible. I have something here, but I cannot put it out myself alone.
You need the support of the nation.
I need everybody's support. And but I'm hitting on them say
who's paying for pain?
Paying for no industry ni money 1 or 2.
Do you believe in the quote and unquote gatekeepers in the business or
the truth is in everything we do they are paying for
paying for banks.
Oh no I don't want to mention it. Me I would never mention it, but the truth is ejuma na ya no ejuma bia ya no there are senior men in the game.
Article 1 right there. We're sorry that Ghana is sleeping on you. We will do better, right?
Yeah, push him.
You would have to listen to Article 1's music and push him and stream his music as well. That's the only way the industry will grow. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. We're so grateful every time that you could join us here on Joy News Prime. Hayos Kojo Baka will be here with Prime Business.
Thank you so much for watching.